Capricorn, welcome to your weekly reading for August 19th through August 25th. Your card is Six of Pentacles, and the message is not asking you to become a different person overnight. It is asking you to notice the quality of the choices you are already making. The central theme is this: true reciprocity preserves dignity on both sides of an exchange. That may sound simple, but it reaches into the places where habit and identity have been making decisions before you consciously enter the room. This week, pay attention to the difference between reciprocity versus control. The card is not here to predict one fixed event. It is here to give you a lens that helps you respond more intentionally to whatever actually arrives. The verified cosmic weather gives that card a precise context. On August 22nd, the Sun enters Virgo in your 9th house, bringing attention toward beliefs, higher learning, teaching, travel, worldview, and meaning-making frameworks. Then on August 25th, Mercury enters Virgo in that same 9th house, adding language, analysis, decisions, and practical thought to the same territory. Those are the only transits we need for this reading. Their usefulness is not that they guarantee an event, it is that they identify a part of life where greater attention may be timely. Virgo asks for detail, usefulness, and discernment. Your card tells you what kind of inner posture to bring to those details. Together, they encourage you to notice what is actually working, what is merely familiar, and what small correction could make a larger difference than another dramatic promise. Now to the card itself, Six of Pentacles. The mature expression of this card asks for discernment. It does not promise that every choice will feel comfortable, and it does not ask you to manufacture confidence. Instead, it gives you a way to test direction. The shadow is giving in ways that keep you indispensable or receiving with unnecessary shame. So use one question repeatedly this week: what would this choice look like if I were acting from the clearest version of the card rather than from its defensive version? That question can keep the symbolism grounded. Tarot is not replacing judgment here. It is helping you examine the quality of your judgment. The deeper meaning of Six of Pentacles for Capricorn is not about performing the obvious keyword of the card. It is about applying its wisdom where your usual strengths can become overextended. This week, reciprocity versus control may show up in subtle ways, in how long you wait before answering, how quickly you volunteer, what you assume another person means, or what you keep doing because it once worked. The key is to recognize that your first instinct can be intelligent and still incomplete. Give yourself one additional beat before important choices. Ask what the choice is protecting, what it is building, and what cost it creates if repeated for 6 months. That longer horizon turns tarot from a mood into a practical lens. Let's move through the areas of life, because the card becomes clearer when it touches something concrete. Love. In love and close connection, let care move in both directions over time. Notice if one person is always the fixer, planner, payer, teacher, or emotional container. The deeper task is to watch whether you are asking another person to manage an insecurity that really needs a clearer conversation with yourself. Relationships become more honest when expectations are spoken before resentment has to translate them. If you are partnered, focus on the quality of the agreement rather than winning a moment. If you are single, focus on behavior that is repeatable rather than chemistry that is only intense. The card does not ask you to close your heart. It asks you to keep your standards connected to reality. Work. In work and purpose, use mentorship, training, access, and resource sharing consciously. If you teach, clarify expectations. If you learn, allow yourself to ask without turning help into a debt. This is a week to value processes that can be repeated. One heroic effort can rescue a deadline, but it rarely creates a sustainable professional life. Ask what the work needs in order to be cleaner, more legible, or more aligned with your actual role. If you are considering a change, look at the structure around the change as carefully as the possibility itself. Competence is not only what you can do under pressure, it is what you can build so that pressure is not always required. Money. With money and resources, review the terms of giving and receiving. Sustainable generosity needs boundaries around lending, support, subscriptions, courses, family obligations, and informal agreements. Try to move one financial choice out of the emotional fog and into a written decision. Numbers can trigger fear, hope, pride, or avoidance, but the number itself is still information. Give yourself enough compassion to look clearly and enough discipline to act on what you see. The goal is not to become rigid. It is to reduce the number of financial decisions that have to be reinvented every time your mood changes. Health and energy. For health and energy, ask whether your energy has reciprocity. Rest, nourishment, learning, support, and movement are not rewards after depletion. They are what keep contribution sustainable. Your body does not need to become another arena where you prove discipline or goodness. Treat signals as information. Notice which practices actually restore capacity and which only create the feeling that you are being productive about your well-being. Sustainable care usually looks less dramatic than a reset. It looks like choices you can repeat even when the week becomes inconvenient. There is also a psychological layer worth naming. For Capricorn, the week may expose how quickly you equate familiarity with safety. Six of Pentacles interrupts that reflex by asking whether the familiar response still produces the result you want. You do not need to reject your natural style. You need to become more selective about when it is useful. This is where the distinction between reciprocity versus control becomes practical. The mature choice may feel less dramatic because it does not need to prove anything in the moment. It may simply create less cleanup tomorrow. Pay attention to that. Peace after a decision is useful information. Now let's walk through the week day by day. These are reflection points, not predictions about fixed events. Wednesday. Notice one area where you give automatically without checking whether the exchange still feels healthy. Do not force a major conclusion from one moment. Use the day to observe the pattern and make the next reasonable choice. Thursday. Accept one useful form of help without immediately repaying or minimizing it. Do not force a major conclusion from one moment. Use the day to observe the pattern and make the next reasonable choice. Friday. Teach one thing generously or ask for instruction where pride has kept you silent. Do not force a major conclusion from one moment. Use the day to observe the pattern and make the next reasonable choice. Saturday. The Sun enters Virgo in your ninth house. Examine the beliefs and learning systems that guide your choices. Do not force a major conclusion from one moment. Use the day to observe the pattern and make the next reasonable choice. Sunday. Question one old idea about fairness: equal is not always fair and generous is not always sustainable. Do not force a major conclusion from one moment. Use the day to observe the pattern and make the next reasonable choice. Monday. Clarify the terms of one recurring exchange involving time, money, labor, or care. Do not force a major conclusion from one moment. Use the day to observe the pattern and make the next reasonable choice. Tuesday. Mercury enters Virgo in your ninth house. Put your philosophy of reciprocity into precise words. Do not force a major conclusion from one moment. Use the day to observe the pattern and make the next reasonable choice. Before we close, here are exactly 3 journal prompts for the week. Prompt 1. Where am I giving because I want to help, and where am I giving because I need to feel needed? Prompt 2. What kind of support is hardest for me to receive with dignity? Prompt 3. Which belief about fairness needs to become more flexible, practical, or humane? Your weekly guidance is a concrete assignment, not another idea to admire. Keep a reciprocity ledger for 3 important exchanges in your life. For each, write what you give, what you receive, and what remains unspoken. Do not score people, look for patterns. Choose one imbalance to address with a request, boundary, thank you, clearer term, or act of generosity that does not overextend you. The purpose is to create evidence. By the end of the week, you should be able to point to one behavior that changed because you understood the card differently. Keep the exercise small enough to finish. A completed experiment teaches you more than an ambitious ritual you abandon halfway through. As you close this reading, remember the central thesis: true reciprocity preserves dignity on both sides of an exchange. You are not required to know the entire outcome. You are being asked to choose the quality of your participation. Let Six of Pentacles become a reminder that symbolic guidance is most useful when it returns you to agency, honesty, and practical action. Your affirmation for the week is: I give without controlling, receive without shame, and choose exchanges that respect everyone involved. Carry that with you through August 25th. Subscribe so your next weekly reading is waiting for you. Trust the timing. The stars have spoken.